I'm interested in seeing his office. How come we never been there? Oh, this looks like inside a castle. Are we inside a castle? I think we're inside the same building as before, right? Oh, so this is the legendary Reaper's office? Yes, it appears so. Ah, it sends a chill down your spine, doesn't it? What an amazingly deathly atmosphere! Oh, is that? That hooded figure was so still I hadn't noticed his or her presence. I wonder who it is. What are you doing here? Holy crap, we never seen him like staring directly at me like that. Holy crap. He's very imposing. He's as unwelcoming as I thought he'd be. Actually, maybe even more so. Oh, I'm glad to see you're well. I am. So, who's the person over by the wall being punished for something or other? No punishment is taking place here. Oh. That's my apprentice, and he's sitting there of his own free will. Your apprentice? Like a vampire apprentice? I didn't know you had an apprentice. It must be the same person who was pictured in the newspaper. Oh, that was his compatriot, okay. Now I get it. He looked so evil, I thought he was like the criminal. He is very able in combat, a requisite skill for anyone under my tutelage. Are you referring to the attack on the Reaper that was reported in the papers? The Reaper. I'd be interested to know the Reaper's true identity myself. Assuming that is such a fabled fiend genuinely inhabits our great courtrooms. The Reaper referring to someone killing the acquitted criminals, right? What do you mean by what you said before? If you'd like to know the Reaper's true identity, does that mean... I'm a crown prosecutor and immortal like any other. I am no demigod. And no vampire. But they've all died, haven't they? The people you've prosecuted, I mean. Whether or not the trial ended in a conviction or an acquittal. Oh, even when it's a conviction? Those I prosecute are the vilest wretches of our society. Except Mr. Natsume. And what about Lestrade? Gina Lestrade? People who without question deserve to be found guilty. The world is a better place without them. But that's not true of Mr. Natsume, for example. He wasn't a vile wretch at all. No, it's Ginny. In fact, she's ever so hardworking now. I can't deny that since I encountered you, things have taken a turn. But the point is this. If any of those vile wretches that escaped justice subsequently died in mysterious circumstances, it was at the hand of their own kind. It's not my work. Lord Strongheart said the same. He believes you're not involved in any way. But you were attacked by those ruffians because they believe it's true. The fact is, since people started to call me the Reaper of the Bailey, the number of serious crimes in the capital has dropped substantially. Oh. It would appear that even the most hardened criminals can be made fearful for their lives. Do you mean to say... I mean to say that if my pseudonym serves a useful purpose, I adopt it gladly and with honor. But it's putting you in danger. You could be killed. If that is my fate, let God decide. Lord Van Zieks. Lord Strongheart said that the assault last night was some sort of revenge attack. True, carried out by the henchmen of O.D. Osman's criminal organization. The investigation meant their arrests were imminent. Presumably some hoped to kill me before that happened. O.D. Osman. He's always masqueraded as one of London's most powerful financiers, a global investor. But his enormous wealth came to him by underhand means via his criminal activities. And he used that money to buy himself a verdict of not guilty when he found himself in court, didn't he? Being prosecuted by you, Mr. Reaper. But a man got his comeuppance in the end. Yesterday, in fact, in extraordinary circumstances. It was a most unusual cause of death. I know about that. It was super high voltage instantaneous kinesis gone wrong. Huh? Mr. Asman died when the demonstration on the public experimentation stage ended in an enormous explosion. Correct. And you think I have some kind of divine ability to cause an accident like that to happen, do you? Well, no, that doesn't seem a little far-fetched. If this man really is the fabled Reaper, then he has to be innocent of this particular death, at least. It's strange how this has worked out, isn't it, Rino? I mean, what with you taking on the professor's defense for the trial tomorrow? What? You're going to be defending him? Oh yes, that's right, though I barely know the man's name yet, to be honest. Albert Hairbrain. That's right. Do you know him by any chance? Of course. He's a contemporary of mine. We were at university together. Oh! You're... What? What? I'd understood that Professor Hairbrain was from Germany, though. Hairbrain's from a respectable British family. Hence, the name. After graduating from the University of London, he moved to Germany to carry out research, that's all. So you were students together? I was in the Faculty of Law, of course, and he in Science, so our paths rarely crossed. But curiously, we got along, though I've not met him since my university days. Oh, I really can't picture you and him getting along at all. I certainly didn't expect our next encounter to take this form. And with you, of all people, representing him. Only if I make it out of this office alive. He's actually been charged with murder, it seems. Yes, I know, because the prosecution will be handled by me. Is that alright? You knew him, after all. By you? But you made it sound as if you and the professor had been friends. We are friends, it's true. Then why would you do this? If the Reaper is the prosecutor, there's nothing anyone can do to save him. He's doomed. Don't say that, Iris. What's Lord Van Zieks thinking? Nothing more? Really? Oh, bottles of wine and chalices. Look at that fine collection of hallowed chalices and bottles neatly lined up there. My hallowed bottles are filled with the essence of the finest grapes from the finest vineyards I visit. And I personally oversee these chalices being made by the finest crystal craftsmen in the world. And yet you throw them around in court like they were the ruthless. Yes, because this imbecile is so unimaginably and repeatedly wide of the mark sometimes. Oh, you're talking about me? Before you open your mouth next time, you should consider the poor artisans whose work you defile. Why is it my fault now? So it's my fault? Silly me, how could I ever have thought otherwise? Oh, do you play chess? Lord Van Zieks' desk. Look, it's so stylish.
And there's a marble chess set beside it.
Chess, that's the Western version of our Japanese shogi game, isn't it? You know, I'm actually quite good at shogi problems.
Oh really? You'd probably like chess problems in that case.
I love to challenge Lord Van Zieks sometime. To a bout of shogi problems.
If you only really want to challenge yourself, you can always do that on your own at home.
Okay. Who is that? This your ancestor or something? That portrait really dominates the room, doesn't it? Oh my god, that's himself! Holy crap. It's a very majestic outfit and pose, but sadly, whoever painted it didn't do a very good job of capturing Lord Van Zieks' facial features. Oh, it's not Van Zieks. Right, is it?
Yes, you're right. I mean, it's not far off, but the artist has exaggerated the subject's handsomeness, I think.
Ah, that reminds me. I heard Emperor Napoleon of France ordered artists to make him look more attractive when they painted him.
How vain. That's really not an attractive quality in a person, is it?
Well, it's already vain to have such a portrait made of yourself and hung in the office, in your own office, is it? That portrait does not depict me. Surely that's immediately obvious. Oh, okay. Oh, then who is it? No comment. Okay, no comment. Gotcha. What is this miniature policeman? This is a miniature city, the Great Exhibition, I guess.
Oh look, it's a scale model of the Great Exhibition showground.
That's amazing. I wonder why it's here.
Perhaps he made it to take his mind off the sadness of being too busy to attend in person.
Or perhaps he's too embarrassed to queue up for a ticket. Surely it's obvious that I'm using it as an investigative aid.
Ah.
You Nipponese have no business painting others as overly reserved. Are you calling Iris Nipponese? I really didn't think he'd overhear that. Oh. Oh? What is that? Are those bats? What is that? Oh! Wow! They were bats!
Yes, the Reaper's familiars, I expect.
But what about the mute man in the dark cloak? I thought he was the familiar. That's not the flying kind.
He must be a dear friend of Mr. Reaper then.
He's an apprentice. I think the familiar idea is more likely. Scary though, either way. What is he doing? He's just sitting there. And why does this look so Japanese? I mean, surely they have chairs and tables. Look at all those ancient casks lining the wall there.
Casks in the Reaper's chamber. Or are they caskets?
You don't think all those people who escaped conviction in court are lying inside them dead, do you? What ridiculous notions are you going through your head, man? This is my collection of fine vintages. Oh yes, of course. Thank you for clearing that up.
Runa and I were just musing to ourselves. Don't mind us, Mr. Reaper.
I wouldn't if you hadn't invited yourselves to my office to talk nonsense within my earshot. Okay. I guess it's time to meet the mysterious apprentice. It really looks like a punishment to me.
I've never seen someone sitting like that before.
He hasn't moved a muscle since we arrived. Do you think perhaps he's dead?
If he was dead, Bruno, he wouldn't be sitting up, would he?
Well, anyway, dead or alive, he's not overly approachable, is he? I don't think he's going to talk to us.
He's not dead.
Okay, but he also does not want to talk to us, so... in all intents of purposes, he might as well be dead. What do we do here? Do we present this paper? Not one seeks about the article in this paper. Ah yes, it seems there was a reporter nearby when that little skirmish took place. I had no idea I'd been photographed. It was careless of me. And you look very handsome with that top hat, I must say.
It looks as though it was taken after the people who attacked you had run away, though.
Rest assured, the police have already apprehended every last one of them. But there's someone else fighting alongside you, it seems. And I think it's the same man who's sitting over there as we speak, isn't it? As I mentioned already, he's my apprentice. Perhaps you could tell us a little more about him. Oh. He's in my tutelage to become a prosecutor. So you could say it's my apprentice, I suppose.
Ah, like you are to Hurley then, Bruno.
I don't remember taking an apprenticeship with a great detective. He's currently compiling a report about last night's attack. It looks like he's wearing some kind of mask. On Lord Strongheart's orders. Nobody knows the man's face, or indeed his identity. What? Is that even allowed, or what? But why would you agree to take on such a clearly suspicious individual? Lord Strongheart's orders again. He's not one for meaningless follies. There will be a good reason for his actions. I hope you're right. Ooh. Whoa. That intense stare. Ah. The task is complete. Good. In that case, you can collate all the briefs. Oh, that stare, that glare. He glares into my soul. Nice to meet you. And he's gone. Back to work again. That was really strange though. I've never met a man before, I didn't even know he existed, and yet... somehow it didn't feel like our first encounter. What? What? We don't have him in our people's court record. Don't bother trying to converse with him. He says nothing to anybody from outside this office. Lord Strongheart has strictly forbidden it. Oh, I see. Why are you so interested in my apprentice anyway? Oh no, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to... The way he stood there so casually, yet with that flawless posture. It couldn't be... What? It couldn't be what? Is it Van Zieks' son or something? Ah, yes. There's something I've been meaning to ask you. Oh, what's that? That Nipponese man, is he faring well? Sorry? Feels really scary when you ask that, you know? The one arrested twice in succession 6 months ago, with the stoop and the moustache and the jitters. Ah, Mr. Natsume, you mean?
I'm not sure he'd be very pleased to find out you identified him from that list, Runo.
He's fine, thank you. In fact, I received a letter from him by international post only the other day. I see. Well, I think we can end our discussion there, don't you? Why did you ask about Natsume? Are you glad that he's alive and well? Or are you sad? Not sad, are you angry? Or I don't know. There's little time left before tomorrow's trial. I advise you to spend it investigating the case. Yes, thank you for the advice and for the conversation. I can't believe he's asking about Soseki-san after a Nipponese. I'm not sure whether to feel happy about that or worried.
I never imagined that Mr. Reaper would be friends with a mad scientist, did you? That's a turn up for the books.
A mad scientist? Ah, you mean Professor Hairbrain? Yes, it might be worth quizzing the professor about his relationship with Lord Van Zieks, I think. Alright. It's time to visit Professor Hairbrain? Yeah. And get familiar with the case. The warden said cell 11. That's this one.
Oh, there's someone curled up in a ball in the back of the corner, look.
What's his name again? Professor Albert Hairbrain, wasn't it? Excuse me, Professor Hairbrain? Who are you? I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer. Ah, lawyer? Was it something I said? A lawyer, you say? Whoa, wouldn't you be here about the experiment? Are you going to defend my hypothesis? Your hypothesis? Sorry, I don't... yesterday's demonstration! The demonstration was, that magnificent demonstration was, it was an out-and-out success by anyone's calculations. Wait, what? You mean it was supposed to explode? What do you mean? But despite that, and no one listens, no lawyer believes in the science. When it's explained, they all leave in a high velocity. Now is probably not a good time to mention that your zeal made my concentration leave for a while too. Okay, I don't really know how to do his voice just yet, so it's kinda like between Soseki Natsume and I don't know. Yesterday's demonstration. You mentioned the demonstration yesterday.
The papers have called it a spectacular failure. After all, a man died in the explosion, didn't he?
Yes, you could interpret the results that way if you really wanted to. Well, I suppose in the strictest sense. The experiment was a failure, but at the same time it was a great success. You've lost me. I saw it with my own eyes right there in front of me that Mr. Asman was spontaneously disassembled. Until then, everything was going exactly as my calculations had predicted. At that point, he should have been beamed to the crystal tower by instantaneous kinesis. However, the machine exploded and Mr. Asman in fact perished. Oh, the machine exploded and Mr. Asman in fact perished. Yes, I can't deny that part of the experiment was a failure. So what you're really saying is the large explosion that killed Mr. Asman was an accident, correct?
But the bigwigs had you arrested on suspicion of murder.
I was responsible for the man's death. That is the immutable truth here. And for that, I wish to be punished. At once. But... murder? Never in a million years. It was an accident. Simply an accident. I see.
Earlier and I were talking this morning, you know. He said the situation would change completely depending on whether it was treated as an accident or murder.
How exactly?
Well, if it really was an accident, then the professor's machine would be kept in protective custody.
On what grounds? Ah, yes, it's newly established here in Britain. The Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. That one passed me by.
But if the case is treated as murder, then they'll say my machine...
they'll say my machine was the murder weapon and they'll be able to pour over it as much as they like. If they examine it in detail, they'll find out how it's made and then they'll be able to copy my idea. My precious hypothesis will be stolen. The machine must be protected from that at all costs. That's why it's imperative this whole incident is shown to have been an accident in tomorrow's trial. I see now. So in short, there was a terrible accident at the Great Exhibition showground yesterday? Yes, or rather no. The devil is in the details. Strictly speaking, there was a terrible explosion. Sounds the same to me.
You were demonstrating super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, weren't you? How fascinating.
Humans, like all matter, are made up of particles that are held together by electrical bonds. And so it must be possible, using a sufficiently high voltage, to break those bonds and beam the particles through space. That's it in a nutshell. That's my idea, you see? That's my amazing hypothesis. Gosh, that's unimaginably high-level science. Oh, but dare to imagine it. Dare to imagine if such incredible technology. Just think, one moment I could be here in the cell and the next I could be at the Great Exhibition again. Well, yes, that would be incredible. And the next, in a mere blink of an eye, I could be at a great Parisian theater, say. And the possibilities are endless. The whole of our vast planet would be within reach. So no more hiding in wardrobes on rocky seas for 50 days.
I don't really see it like that.
What do you mean, Iris?
Oh well, if you could travel anywhere in the world instantly, the planet wouldn't really seem vast anymore, would it? I think it would feel like it had shrunk.
Oh, what? That's exactly right. Whoa, what are the implications? What does this mean?
Oops, that's got Professor Bunny Brain really worried by the look of it.
Bunny Brain. Clearly this is yet another case of just because you can doesn't mean you should, I suppose. The point is, my calculations are flawless, the science works. But without a practical demonstration, it means nothing. And that's always the fly in the ointment.
Because practical demonstrations cost a lot of money. Money that young scientists like you don't have.
That's exactly it, yes.
Harley's always complaining about it. He says the government should invest more in science.
Well, anyway, I bumped into him at the right time. I met the well-known investor, Mr. Asman. The victim who died in yesterday's terrible accident, you mean? The victim? What do you know about the victim? The full name of the man who died in yesterday's accident was Mr. O.D. Asman, wasn't it? What exactly was your relationship with the man? He first visited me in my laboratory in Germany a year ago now. He said he wanted to invest in my immaculate hypothesis. I thanked my lucky stars. I see, so you hadn't really known each other until then?
Money for scientific research, I'm so envious.
As far as I was concerned, the man was an angel. Oh, really? An archangel, even.
I was prepared to find a practical demonstration of my hypothesis for presentation at the Great Exhibition. And if that went well, I could expect additional financial support for my research from the British government. Mr. Asma provided me with money and an exceptional engineer. He produced a machine to my precise specifications.
So he built the machine, or his appointed engineer.
But then your dreams were blown into dust in one enormous explosion.
As you can see, I owed everything to Mr. Asman. I would never have thought of taking the man's life.
Well, he seems genuine enough. I don't think he's lying. And you know Prosecutor Van Zieks? I understand Lord Van Zieks is a friend of yours from your university days.
Yes, that's right. He was studying law whilst I was studying science.
What was he like back then?
A good question. Unassuming, gentlemanly, an all-around nice fellow, really.
Really? That does not sound like Van Zieks at all. Sorry, I think you misheard me. I'm talking about the cold-hearted, merciless prosecutor, Baruch Van Zieks. What was he like when he was at university?
And talk about a leading question, Runo.
As I said, an unassuming and extremely pleasant gentleman. After all, he is the little darling of the Van Zieks family, with all its great aristocratic origins.
I didn't realize he had quite such noble blood.
Little darling?
It was a bit of a shock when I came back to Britain and learned what he'd become. The Ripper of the Bailey, no less.
Yes, that's right.
I did hear, though, that there was a very big event in his life that completely changed him after graduation.
Really? What sort of event?
I'm sorry, but I don't know anymore. I wasn't in the country at the time. I was in Germany already.
Oh yes, of course. If he's heard all about the Reaper, I really don't have the heart to tell him that Lord Van Zieks will be the prosecutor in court tomorrow. So, Professor, let me just make absolutely sure I've understood you properly. The huge explosion that occurred yesterday, that was an accident, you're saying? You had no intent to harm the victim, who was in fact the sole investor in your work. Is that correct?
As correct as 2 squared is 4, I swear it! Yes, it's true that a man perished in a machine of my invention, so I know that I'm far from blameless in all this, but still, I would never use my discoveries, my inventions, to take a person's life, not in a centillion years. I am a man of science, that's all I know. You have to believe me, please. Do you believe me? Do you believe in my hypothesis?
Can't sure I do, no.
Science is the pursuit of truth, you know? I've always believed that, all my life.
I'm afraid I don't know much about science, or your theories, but I do believe you, and I will fight to prove your innocence with all my might. I'm a man of the law, it's all I know. You have to believe me. Please.
When I went to live in Germany after I graduated, I learned something very important. Nationality, class, lineage, none of that matters. As long as you try your hardest, you can achieve anything.
Thank you for that, Professor.
Thank you in advance for defending me tomorrow in court.
Alright, Runo, it's time to visit the Great Exhibition.
Sorry?
Well, that's where the incident happened, isn't it?
Don't threaten me with the gun. Yes, I suppose that's true. Time to investigate at last. Okay. We can go to the experimentation stage of the Great Exhibition. The showgrounds are a little too big for my liking.
We've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now, and I felt myself swooning 3 times.
And there are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times too.
Be careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through the throngs, though, by the look of it. Here we are underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. Wait, that's at the Crystal Tower. Don't tell me they actually managed to beam Mr. Asman onto the Crystal Tower? The heck? How's this possible? What's that? I can hear voices from up on the stage. It sounds like an argument.
Alright, I've had it with you all this time. I'm warning you, I'll arrest you in a minute.
Oh yeah? Go on then, Spectre. Give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence and you know it.
Wait, I know those voices.
And you've got a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady, but a night in the cells will teach you some manners.
Just try it, I dare ya, if you want that bag of chips rammed down your throat. Yoo-hoo! Grexy, what are you doing up there?
It's you here, here you are, you here, your ladyship. How are you, your ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship.
Does that make her 3 times a lady?
I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride in a balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue.
Unbelievable, I'll go and have a word for you at once, your ladyship. I'll be flying as high as a kite. In no time, once I pull some strings for you, you will be
Tobias Gregson, an inspector at Scotland Yard. Until recently, he was suspended from duty, but it would appear he's back in action now. Just like I am. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and for that reason, he can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. But there are limits, surely. Or there should be.
Watch it, sunshine!
Sorry?
What gives then? Don't tell me you're on this case.
Yes, I'm acting for the defense.
And so we're here to investigate.
Dear me, that's the situation, is it?
Is it really that troubling?
A measly 5 bob? Is that all you got?
Did you steal my money?
You're a lawyer, ain't ya? You could stand to carry a bit more copper around your pockets, Mr. Naruhodo.
What? Hey, that's my last bit of spending money, that is.
You can have it back, but I'll have to charge you for all the bother. 3 bob.
This is Gina Lestrade, a pickpocket or diver, born and bred in the East End of London. In the case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago, this is the young girl I was defending in court.
And what's your problem, eh, Otto? Diver, pickpocket, what's with all these name-calling?
Oh, did I say that out loud?
You want a bag of chips ran down your throat and all, do ya?
I thought you were proud to be a diver, Gina. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assumed you'd been up to your usual tricks here at the showground.
That ain't no way to talk to a lady, Otto. Half a year's a long time. People can change.
Half a year? That's right, 6 months.
I'm an apprentice now, learning to be a Scotland Yard detective.
Wow, really? You're Gregson's apprentice?
So you have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now.
Inspector? I don't think you're Inspector just yet. Inspector? That badge is homemade, surely.
The inspector part isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. For what it's worth, anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, you got demoted, Gregson?
Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold the fort down here, alright?
Right, sir. This raises a lot of questions.